Well, hello, friends and neighbors. Chris Allen. It is 6:09 p.m. on March the 4th, 2019. And it's been since December since I've done a regular podcast. And some of you have said you've missed it. We ran into some technical difficulties, and then after a while it was like time crunch and trying to do this early in the morning with getting videos done and radio forecast done and just getting AM Kentucky done. It was a time crunch issue, and something had to give, and unfortunately at the time it was the podcast. But I've thought about bringing it back, but maybe in a different form. I mean, it's still here, obviously, still on Spreaker. I'm just not sure where to go from here. Should I continue to do a weather podcast? I mean, with everything else that's out there, you've got the weather app, you've got us on television, you've got us on radio, you've got us on your phone. Do you want a podcast? I need to hear from those of you who want to hear a podcast. I just may have to change the time that I do the podcast. It's either going to be the night before, like this, or it would have to be after AM Kentucky, middle of the morning. It just may have to. I don't know what else to do. The time, unless I get up earlier than 2 a.m., is the problem. Also, this podcast is different in that I'm doing it from my home studio instead of WBKO. So I've got a nice studio set up here at home. I've got all the equipment to do it, and I can do it here. The other thing is, does it have to be about weather? And that's something that I've been toying around with for a while. Does the podcast have to be about weather? Could it be about something else? Now, I have to be... Do you have a few minutes? Maybe that's what I should call it. Do you have a few minutes? See, here's the conundrum that I'm in. There's a lot that I want to say, but I can't say. Obviously, because I have to stay objective in my role as a television broadcaster, a radio broadcaster. I have a little more freedom on my radio show in the afternoons, but even if I try to get political or religious, the hand gets slapped. Somebody writes an email or sends a comment. Oh, Chris shouldn't have said that. That's just play the music. And I'll be the first who sits back and watches television, watches these award shows, and watches the stars, Hollywood and everybody else. I just want to see an award show. I don't want to hear a political speech. But, of course, they can't help themselves. I want to go to a concert, hear some great music. Well, they can't help themselves. They'll get into politics or whatever. And, so I have an opinion there, too. But I'm thinking, if I give my take on things, then I'm just contributing to the noise, and I'm not helping anybody. I'm just giving my opinion like everybody else, and that doesn't help anything. It just contributes to the noise. I don't want to contribute to the noise. I want to be able to contribute something meaningful. And so I've toyed with those ideas, and I've had people encourage me saying, the way you think and the way you feel about certain things, you need to be able to say these things. Well, I'll have to admit sometimes I feel like I am going to explode, because even in the midst of sitting on television every morning and some of the stories that come down and I'm sitting there watching, I still have to put on the smile and I still have to say, good morning, welcome to AM Kentucky. I totally disagree with that story, and then put a big smile. No, I can't do that. Just like all of us in the business, we have to bite our tongue, even though sometimes it feels like a lot of the network coverage on whatever channel is skewed one way or the other, left or right. It doesn't matter. So I'm thinking, I don't want to contribute to the noise, even though I have an opinion. I think most people know where I lean and what I think. So should I just stick with weather? Or should I talk about something else like music? Should I do a music podcast? Or should I talk about vintage, some of my vintage radios and music and traveling, the back roads and old things, vintage, because I'm getting older. I mean, won't be long till I'll be 60. I mean, it's still a couple of years away, but I'm just I want to use the platform for the right reason. So throw out your ideas. You can do that on here, on Spreaker. Just give me your opinion and let me know what you would like to hear. And here's another conundrum, if, I don't want to overuse that word. But, sometimes I just want to share thoughts. Maybe it's words of encouragement. And I don't want to get preachy. And I certainly do not want to get judgmental. And so sometimes, here's the problem, my opinion may be taken as judgment. And there's enough of that going around. Just like there's enough noise going around all over the place. But I do have, just some common sense things in the way I think and the way I was brought up and the way, I don't know. See, I feel like I dig my own hole and then I can't get out of it. But it just sometimes I have things on my heart that I want to share in hopes that it would help somebody. It would encourage somebody. So maybe that's the route I need to go. Maybe I just need to share words of encouragement, talk about things that I've been through that maybe some of you don't know, and do that. But I don't want it to sound pitiful or, my story's worse than yours. You think you have a story? You think you have a struggle? You think you have you had a hard life? Well, listen to my story. Well, maybe this helps bring out your story. I don't know. Maybe all of this is just a waste of time. The laugh is a nervous laugh because I'm just like, well, where do I go with this? And here I've spent 8.5 minutes saying basically nothing. Really, it's to test out my equipment, make sure it sounds good, in hopes of maybe somebody listening and going, Chris Allen, I'd like to hear from you about some of this stuff. So don't stroke my ego. I've got a big enough one already. But if there's something meaningful that is not going to contribute to the noise or will be judgmental or political, drop me a note and let me know. Let me know what you think about this. And then we'll take it from there. In the meantime, I'll see you in the morning on AM Kentucky, bright and early at 5 a.m. And you can also listen to my radio show if you didn't know. It's at Classic Hits, Sam 100.7, every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7. Classic hits of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. In the meantime, have a great Monday evening. God bless, and thank you for listening.